I love Legos. I mean, who doesn't? They're the perfect toy to express your creativity. You can either follow the instructions to create amazing theme sets like these, or go off book and create something weirder, more detailed, or just stupider than any actual Lego set. There are some Lego items that are iconic, but unfortunately kind of small. So what if they were bigger? And no, I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about real classic Legos, just bigger, so that I can create large versions of tiny sets that I love. To start out, I just measured a single stud using a set of calipers so that I could build an exact copy. Now I could have stopped here if I just wanted to print my own bootleg Legos, and that's not a bad plan because sets are so expensive these days, but I digress. Once I have my actual model, it's pretty easy to just scale it up. For the giant sets I'm making, I chose a scale of 450% or 4.5 times the size of an actual Lego. Why that number, you may ask? Good question. As I'm writing the script for this video, I'm realizing that I have no clue why I actually chose that number. Sometimes I just do things. I'm sure there was a reason. Can't remember it though. But that's it. Giant Lego. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. It's actually a little more complicated than that. As I'm sure you know, Legos snap together, hold their shape, and unlock pretty easily. It's the perfect fit, but when you scale something up, you lose that perfect fit. So I had to make a few test pieces to determine the actual tolerances required. If you've watched my other videos, you know that the tolerance is the amount of wiggle you need between things to make them fit together. A zero tolerance would mean you have an exactly 1-inch peg for an exactly 1-inch hole. And that does not work in real life, because you need space for those things to actually fit together and slide in. The other thing to keep in mind is that a 3D printer does not print things exactly the dimensions you give it. It does its best, but due to thermal expansion and contraction, you have to allow some extra wiggle space between objects. So I made a few test pieces to actually check what my tolerances needed to be in the model. So started with these. Wrong. Alright, there we go. That's the one. So now that I have my correct tolerance, it's time to pick my sets and create the pieces. So I chose 3 sets to copy from the get-go. The first of these was a Lego Minikit from Lego Star Wars. I mean, it's an iconic set, and who wouldn't want a giant one? Come on. The Minikit is made up of 13 pieces, not including the stand. So using my 1x1 stud, I was just able to build out each piece. You linear pattern them, you cut them as you need, and boom, Bob's your uncle, you got what you need. After that, it's as simple as breaking them up by color, putting them on the build sheet, and then sending them off to print. Once it's done printing, this is what I ended up with, a nice little desktop display piece. The Minikit was the first set I did, but that was shortly followed by a Christmas tree and then a micro-scale X-Wing. The tree is made up of a lot more pieces, and it was a lot more fun than the Minikit if I'm being honest. I did this around November of last year, so I was feeling pretty festive, and all my things were boxed up from moving and living in one spot temporarily, so I wanted some Christmas joy on my desk. More complex sets like this are more fun to see come together once you've printed everything out. And this one ended up being about a foot tall, which is like the perfect height for a little desktop Christmas tree. The micro-scale X-Wing was next, and I just wanted to do something else from Star Wars, and the X-Wing is arguably the most iconic ship. And maybe you could say the Millennium Falcon, but I think the X-Wing is a lot cooler. This one had some more unique pieces that I had to put more time into creating and testing the tolerances, and I even had to customize one of the pieces to fit my needs specifically. But it came out looking really nice. Now you may have thought you were watching a video about my creative process, but joke's on you, this is actually one giant ad. If you want one of these mini kits or Christmas trees, they are for sale on my Etsy shop now. I'm going to put the link in the description. I'm still working on getting the X-Wing ready to sell, but it should be available soon. If there are other sets that you'd like to see me make to sell or just for fun on the channel, let me know in the comments. There are a few extra considerations I want to talk about that come into account when you're making something to sell, and not just to have yourself. There was a lot of extra effort put in. To start, there was more effort on the tolerance to make sure things were perfect. The first two videos I've made are not really worthy of being sold for different reasons. The Pokemon table is just far too much effort, expense, and it's really just too big to ship to anyone for a price that anyone would pay. The Lethal Company apparatus, so I've recently learned, is not actually wired to allow the battery to withstand a charge while under load due to the board that I've used to charge it. So the battery will eventually balloon up and I'll have to change it out. All that to say, a lot of extra effort goes into something when it's being sold. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, but I am working on something tied to the Pokemon table that will be for sale soon. The other thing is I print in batches. It's a lot easier to print the same thing out on one build plate, so you end up with a lot of parts. You also need to create instruction manuals. To do this, I use something called an exploded view in CAD. To make one of these, you just move all your pieces away from each other. This allows me to take screenshots, bring them into Microsoft Word, and just make a little instruction manual for assembly. Next, I found a lot of boxes on Amazon just to ship these things in. Got a roll of bubble wrap, and I actually go ahead and pre-package things so that I can just slap a label from my trusty label printer on it when somebody wants one. Anyway, this is a bit of a simpler video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you think, and let me know what project you want to see next in the comments.